All right, here we are. Welcome to Jets 55. Philly boy, the Vim man, back at you.
How you
Philly,
doing?
the honeymoon is still, it's the honeymoon time. It's beautiful, the honeymoon. Everything is so lovely, so
Yes.
special. So we
It's
got
like a
our
day at the beach, you know?
we got our Aaron Rodgers honeymoon, and everything's lovely. Everything's pretty. Um, Bottom line, it's gonna after 8 weeks of football, we'll see if there's still smiles and the great
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
I hope. And I guess I gotta start us off. To me, I like hearing him talk. He seems like a really good guy. He's always focusing on other people and making people better, making athletes better. People don't know. He always people are so quick to write, oh, he's a weird, the darkness, all this BS. He has like 7, 8 charities that this guy takes, is involved with. And he just does things that are good. I mean, is he perfect?
Yeah,
I wasn't on it. I wasn't with him on that. But the guy, is he perfect? No, but he seems to be a good person. He's digging New York. Seems to be digging
right.
going around the city. People are digging him. He goes in a pizzeria. They're not letting him pay, and that he can afford it, but they're not letting him pay. It's always good
Well, it's
vibes.
like it's like a welcome. It's like, hey, you're in our house now. We feed you. You come to my house, you don't bring the food. That's the way we do. We feed you. Welcome. I mean, it's that kind of stuff. And we know how New York is. It's not everybody's a Jet fan, right? This the other team. But for us, for our people, it's our turn now to, like you say, we got that honeymoon, we got that feel good thing. He doesn't need to know. He knows there's another team and another group of fans. It's weird when you have cities that have multiple teams in multiple sports, right? You have many options in New York in every friggin' sport, right? Where he was is the Packers, that's it, right? So he comes from that mindset that he's going to own the town. He's not. He's going to own a slice of it, and there's some that are going to be rooting for him to get hurt. That's just unfortunately the way it is with
Yeah,
the nonsense, which
but interesting enough, of
I
all the
don't
things
care anymore. But
yeah,
that's a problem, though.
but of all the things that's never been brought up with him. He's a Jet. He's a Jet
Right.
baby. He's digging, and he says like any new thing, it's scary, it's exciting, it's a thrill. People say they've never seen him this happy in like the last 5 years. Hopefully it continues. I mean, again, it really nothing. The truth. I'm not saying these are true feelings, but the reality when the games stop. But this guy just digging, being around sports figures. He couldn't believe it. Like here I am. I'm at the Garden, the Knicks game, and there's Patrick Ewing, and there's this star. He's meeting. He's like, I'm meeting Spike Lee. He's
Right.
digging all of this stuff, and he always complimentary to Green Bay. He says 18 great years. He says always going to be part of that town because he's a small bit owner of investment in Milwaukee Bucks, stuff like that. But I'm just digging how he talks. I'm just digging the things he said, and
Mhm.
it's just like I said. Is it going to equate to the field? Let's
Well,
hope so.
listen, we
Uh,
started this out. This is the honeymoon period. But you know
yes,
what? This is
beautiful.
why a couple weeks ago, last time we were on, we wanted this to be over because this is the feel good moments that we want them to develop, that now it's already happening, right? We're going to get into the draft picks. We're going to get into all of that in a few minutes. But the overall feeling of all these guys from Brees Hall, Sauce Gardner, and, Garrett, all these guys are lifted another level up now. There's this feeling of hope and this feeling that you're in something special now. You know why? Because they are. They really are. You finally have one of the top quarterbacks in the game. I don't really care how he got here. I don't really care that he's not our guy. That's okay. There's plenty of guys that are our guys that we're going to continue to grow with, whatever. But in the moment right now, you got a guy who's loving being here. He's already, like you say, he's been to a Knick game, the Ranger game, and then tonight he's going to another Knick game with
So
with Sauce, right? So, and he talked about, whoa, like I didn't see it until a little while ago when he was on McAfee this morning, right? Right. So he goes 17, whoa, so he's seeing up close what it's like to throw to Garrett Wilson, what it's like to be near these guys. And he's spinning the ball now in May. And the guy asked him, you don't really do that. That's a new thing. He says, yeah, I want to, get the feeling with the new guys. I want to get to know the building. He's staying in the hotel across the street. So he's immersing himself in it right now, right? So he gets to know these people. So when he goes back home for, another month or whatever before they really come back, he's got something that he's coming back to. So it's like he'll have a mini off season to go do his thing, and then he's going to come back, and then it's all business. This is, like we say, the honeymoon. This is the welcome. This is we've been waiting. This is fantastic. We get to meet some of the, Woody and all this is riding high, Douglas and everything. So he's feeling good because there's a rejuvenation factor that he's got going, and I think he's in great shape. He seems to be fine. He seems to be ready to go, and he's excited and happy.
He talks about his trainer and how he does things, and it seems like he's on track, man, looking good. But backtracking for a second, I don't give it. You know what? I don't want to hear about time. I don't give a damn. I don't give. We got him. How we got him? Blah blah blah.
Doesn't mean
blah.
anything.
Okay. Because you know what? Let me ask you: the Tampa Bay Bucks. Where they go? Tom Brady. Oh, we got a Super Bowl, but I'm not happy. It was Tom Brady. Yeah, okay. You think
Nonsense.
the Rams or the fans or that team wasn't happy when they got their Super Bowl? No,
right.
It wasn't their guy homegrown. I mean, I don't want to hear it. So
these are negative things that people say because they want to knock you down. And you know what? We're not listening to that. We're not about that. We're here. You're going to talk about a couple things that a couple guys said, and I agree with you. But you know what? The main thing here is we all have the ability to talk down or talk it up, right? And we always, sometimes fans in general, we make our team, we got all this. If we only get, it's like a commercial. If we get this one pick, we're going to one draft, one here. But it's not about that. It's about the mindset of the whole organization. And this is honestly the first time since I can remember, man. I don't even think when they won, I don't think they were this together. They weren't. Even in the early 70s, they sucked for the most part. They did. They had their moments, but they didn't make the transition the way they needed to dominate the early 70s, and it became teams like the Steelers and, so, which is fine for them. But for me, for right now, I mean, the middle 80s, they were great, but quarterback play, he was good, but he wasn't great. They made some mistakes, and they had a horrible coaching situation. You tick off everything. He's got Hackett. He's got his guys. He's got his people. He's even now got one of his O-linemen coming over.
Hey, you said it. The gang's all here. Hell, the gang's all here, man. And,
so it's all falling into place. So I love it. Let him have a good time. He said it's 1 week now, and he's just been riding high. Good. It's like you won the lottery. You're king for a week, for a month, or whatever. You're right. When it's time for the pedal to hit the metal, I think the guy's going to be ready. Just the coaches just gradually install what they need to install.
Well, and I'm hoping. Listen, I'm hoping that he can change really the whole dynamic. He could change what the Jets are thought of. Because the other thing is, like, you look at Houston, man, they got that third pick. They gave up, like, next year's draft, for God's sakes, for that one guy. Imagine if the Jets did that. Imagine if they picked a quarterback number 2 and got a lineman, an edge rusher or whatever, defensive end. I mean, gave up picks this year, a ton of picks next year. Gave up, oh, my God. It would have been like, can you imagine? Oh,
JD doesn't do that so far. The only thing they did wrong, we know what they did. They made couple mistakes, but they have done, it's like anything else. If you're batting 340, you're unbelievable in baseball. That's 34%. If you're hitting 280, you're doing well. This guy's batting 600. He's doing really well. Made some here and there moves, but they all do. But he built a foundation already that they should feel for the next 5 to 10 years. And that's what you want, sustainability. It's not obviously going to be with the quarterback, but Aaron Rodgers made the point of saying, he's going to work on the kid, like on Wilson. I don't still think he'll be our guy down the line. I hope Rodgers stays 3 years and they win a couple of times, and whatever happens, happens. We'll see. But for the here and the now, honeymoon. Honeymoon in Jersey there. Honeymoon in the city. You know what I mean? It's like, It's
the
perfect.
possibilities we know, and we do our Mets 55. I said it from the beginning about the Mets. Doesn't matter how much the salary is. This whole season's going to be payroll. The whole season's going to be a grind. Everything sounds pretty. The Jet season could be a grind. Who knows? It's a really tough schedule. But you know what? He just brings that level where he could not only be a good quarterback and perform well in the field, but change the whole dynamic of what the Jets are about. JD is the man. Digging him, loving him. Yeah, Zach Wilson was under his watch, but we don't know. We'll see. And again, the negative vibes. Listen, to start with the draft. Oh, well, look what the Pats did to the Jets. Look what the Pats did to the Jets. Listen, Pats didn't call Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh called the Pats. Hey, listen, we'd like to go to 14. We'll give you another pick. Pat said, yeah. And what do we do? Rounds later, we negotiated with the Pats. I mean, everybody's like, oh, we didn't get this guy Jones. Oh my God, that's the end of the world. They didn't get Jones. Someone like on TV, I actually like her. What's her name? I wrote my little notes. Mina Kimes. I like her. But they were saying who didn't have a good draft, and they picked two teams, and then she mentioned the Jets. Oh, they didn't get Jones. Okay, well, that's not the end of the world. And what do? They go out and get Billy Turner. You can't look at it. First of all, F the grades. F the grades. F what they're saying.
Right.
I don't care. Okay, because the bottom line is it's not about the draft. It's about what you're going around, what's going on in free agency,
Right.
maybe undrafted. It's all about that. So, okay, they didn't get the Jones, which would have changed everything. Oh my God, here we go. They didn't get him.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they got Billy Turner, a guy who's experienced. You could put him right in at right
As a
tackle.
9-year veteran who's been in
Yeah.
their system the whole time, and he's like the old state saying used to be a Parcells type guy, right? They follow you, they follow you. So he followed Hackett to Denver, and now he followed him here. So you got a guy who's plug and play, boom, in a starting position of need, and you got AJT there, so AVT there, right? So you got that side, boom, bookends. You got 900 guys to pick and choose from. We're going to get into the whole roster in a minute, but you're right. You talk about the draft, right? Well, let's talk about it, because this feel-good feeling didn't just stop with Rodgers, right? It started before him, during, and then during the draft, they did not do what some folks think you should do. They got like best player available. It's like, no, you want to fill your need now so that you can win now, which is what we want. I want to win now. Like we deserve it at this point, because this isn't a team or an organization where, like the Steelers or the Broncos that are getting back and they've won within the last 10 or 15 years. We have multiple, generations of people, kids that have not, most people we even know are too young to remember Namath. We're lucky enough to remember that. But people that are Jet fans since 1970, 72, they don't remember the glory of Howie Cosell and when they were on, and on Monday Night Football and Joe, that was a big deal then. That's what this Rodgers moment feels like. It does feel like there's a star power going on that I think Joe bring closure to also.
Which it was great, but they're taking care of it. Listen, Titman is going to be a starting center. Now, you got a young guy, a fixture, Elijah Vera Tucker. He's a fixture. That's one. There's 5 guys in a line. Now you got this guy, Titman. That's 2. Personally, I like Mitchell from last year. Was he good? No. Was he great? No. Was he halfway decent? Was he okay for a guy who got thrown into the fire? He was.
Yeah.
I expect big things from him. So that's 3 young, solid guys. If Becton, and I almost feel like we're playing with house money, but if Becton comes through, now you have 4 young guys that could be in that line for a long time together. They got Cologne. They got the other guy you told me his name. I keep forgetting.
And they got Dwayne Brown too. They got
Dwayne Brown. He's going to be left tackle. They got now Turner's going to be right tackle. They got the young guys. Mitchell can learn from Turner. He can develop. Hopefully, it's all
around. That guy Tomlinson at guard that has to do something. You got Connor McGovern as a backup. You got a lot of guys. One thing that's important today, you saw, right, that they did not take his option for next year, Becton. So that's it. You got to prove it this year. Like
They're letting him
now or
know,
never, pal.
hey,
Like Nimmo did last year, boy. He was in a walk here. How about that? The job he did with the Mets last year. You want to get it done?
yeah,
You got to be out there. You got to make a difference. You got to fight for a job, and you got to make a difference. And
well,
then they'll sign you. You know?
The old lineman on the Giants, they did the option with him because he produced. The same
Yeah.
year Becton was drafted. He was drafted ahead of Becton. But now Becton has to know, man, you got to be reliable. You got to be on the field. You're not going to get monies if you're not doing the job and you're not playing. Okay. And again,
Sometimes you're right. That's a great point because sometimes guys are overpaid for what they've done as opposed to being paid for what they're gonna do. But you have to ride that balance to see what the future is going to hold and pay these guys the right way. But you also have to reward, like you just said, guys that have been doing it. So a guy like Becton, he had his chance to show his potential over 3 seasons. He's played nothing. So now this is his chance to get paid going forward. That's it.
Right. So now they listen. What do they do when you do that? When you're not doing the 5th year, giving it to them, balls in your court now. You got to prove yourself. You got to keep yourself on the field. So
let's talk about McDonald though. Let's start with the draft there. Okay.
Well, let me finish off. Hold on. Let me finish off with the last guy they got. I just want to finish off with Carter Warren. And everybody's saying, oh, work in progress, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I forgot about him, the tackle. Yeah.
Big boy, a lot of good tangibles, some things to work on and everything. But that's not a guy like, maybe 3-4 years down the line. I said, he's another guy now. If he's ever had to come to put in a fire, I think he would be a serviceable guy. So a lot was done. It seemed like when you talk about the Jets and the O-line, it seems like every other team in the league has the best O-line ever created by heaven and earth. Oh, every other team, their O-line, oh my God, it's amazing how perfect every other team. When it comes to the Jets, oh, the O-line this, the O-line that. So I think they know who they have. They got Rodgers. They know what's going on. They're doing everything they can with the O-line. I personally think it's looking good. And again, with these people being negative, the Jets lost. I don't think they were going after Jones personally. No one can say, I can't say that they were going for Jones. All those phone calls we saw.
Yeah, you didn't believe that. You thought he was a little bit of a project. Yeah.
He was looking to move down in the draft, thinking he could get McDonald in the 20s and get another pick. But it wasn't. But let's be clear about something. This wasn't a great draft class. By the way. Wasn't it right? Obviously, the TV embellished. Oh, this is going to be a great draft. They embellished. Last year was an awesome draft class. This year, it was not. After the 12th, 13th guy, it wasn't a great one. There were some crazy trades now, but not as much as you see. There were then the trades down in the end of the draft, which kind of always happens because people want more picks. This wasn't a deep, wonderful draft class. All right?
That's exactly why getting your player instead of the best available is critical in this kind of a draft, because the right guy to fit your role is what has to happen. You needed a center, for God's sake. They got this guy Tippmann. My God, Jason Fabini, right, was his mentor, the Jets. You know what I mean? So the guy bench presses 450 pounds. The guy's a monster. So he's big and tall. Find the negatives, fine, but there's something special about the continuity with the picks that he's gone and done. But to wrap up what you're saying about the O-line, that was a real big question mark. It's still a question mark. It's just not a big, massive one right now, because they got enough bodies now where they're not going to be going with, basically, practice team guys as your starters. Because you got Brown, you got Becton, you got Vera Tucker's back. You got now Tippmann, who looks like he's going to be a plug-in starter. And you got Turner. To me, Billy Turner is the biggest one. Because, again, he's a guy that knows the system, right? I heard when Rodgers was talking about Nathaniel Hackett, he says, yeah, he made a couple of changes that are actually better in our system. So it's like he's already determined what they were doing in the past, and he's seeing how it was tweaked. Oh, yeah, this is even better. So they didn't miss a beat, it sounds like. This guy Turner was on that line,
Yeah,
so,
and the negative part when I got Tippmann, then you hear someone saying, a young center for Rodgers. Why? Well, a young center, a new rookie center. Again with the negativity. But the whole draft, it wasn't best available. It was people that fit into their system. Okay,
Right.
people that fit into their system, and you take some long shots, like the last guy, Kuntz, guy 6'7", he runs a 4.55. He's
Yeah.
he's a sick psycho athlete. Okay, is he going to make it? I don't know. You take a flyer on the guy, okay, because Uzama and Conklin aren't going to be there forever. So maybe
Right.
2, 3 years this guy's developed. So you're making the last pick of the draft. But and again, the negativity goes back to even the running what's his name, the guy, his last name was Converse, cornerback. Oh, what did they get a corner? Why did they just get a corner? Well, if you really read into it and you looked into the guy and you knew your information, you would know that he was a safety for like 3, 4 years in college too. So he has that kind of maybe safety possibility. So they did their job. They got people, the linebacker was the linebacker that got, listen, long shot, but he fits the bill. He fits the body type. He fits the speed. He fits the way the Jets like to play. And the
Okay,
story.
we started to talk about judge and jury.
I go
And
all over the place.
no. I'm saying we started this podcast when we first did it with the
Oh,
idea
right.
of judge and jury, right? So I'm the judge. I read an article by this guy, and once in a while, the Jet X Factor, whatever, Michael Nania, really thumbs up on this one. 3 traits that he said Joe Douglas looks in in his draft picks. He did the work and he figured it out. He said the first one is athleticism, then the length, meaning the arms and the height, and then the character. So he did this little analysis and he found that amongst the edge rushers, right? This guy McDonald, because he's his size and the things that he brings, he's got like a 9 point. I looked at what he said, 6'6" rating, number 3 among edges, right? This running back, number 3, right? In terms of those pieces of measurability that make a difference to some folks, right? He's also the guy you just mentioned, the tight end. He's number 1 about over the tight ends with the size, with this Tippmann, same thing. These guys all bring something to it that are special based on what I think JD is doing. So when we saw them pick McDonald and Chris is hugging him like, oh my God, it's like, and we're like, who is this guy? Whatever. These are the things that they do in their analytics department and what they're looking for. They're looking for stuff like that. And Saleh wants guys with, that play with a level of violence, he says, right? So it's like they have a structure and a strategy in place, and they find guys that they want people that are fast, explosive, and agile. That's what they say, right? That's what they're looking for. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
So Tippmann, they say he's like he comes right up. He's there. So he's not like a center. He's a pulling freaking guard as a center, and you got guys like this McDonald who, did you see his little speech? I was watching a little bit of that. He goes, and then I'll shut up in a minute. He goes, he figured he'd go around 20, something like that. But the guy was humbled and thrilled, and he's like, I'm going to show everyone. He is so stoked he's going to get to the quarterback. He's going to do what he's got to do. They ask him about his brother who passed away. It's like, come on, put the guy on the spot. You want to see him get choked up, But he did. He said, my brother's watching. And, it's like, So the guy is all in, and now he comes to a place with Aaron Rodgers. So it's like, what a difference. That's the key. You got young new guys coming back this year to a place where the most important position, it's a quarterback-driven league. We've been saying that. You've been saying, right. Now you got one of the best. It matters. It really does. It matters on both sides of the ball. So
if you look, and this draft wasn't, we got to build, we got to rebuild. This draft was, we already have the team. We got the team. We got the pieces. We got a quarterback last year. Everybody's been saying it. You get Rodgers, you go from 200 to 1 odds to 14 to 1,
Right.
So, but the thing is, after McDonald is drafted, then you find out that, he was on other people's boards. He was on other people's boards in the first round,
Yeah.
The other thing, then you find out, and that's James Day sent us that nice video. Then we learned that, and when Saleh was talking to him, he goes, I'm going to put you right at the 9 tech instead of the 4 tech. I don't know if I'm confusing it, but he played a lot of right over the line in college in Iowa State. A lot of people felt he wasn't even been in the right position. Okay. And he did well anyway. He did well
Right.
at that lightweight, which, by the way, he's up to 245 right now. But you put him in the 9 tech where just around the edge, this guy can be an absolute beast. So there's a reason, there's a rhyme to it. And like I said, after everything's said and done, people are crying and screaming and what the Pats did, what the Pats did. We wind up getting a guy. I know they were the top ranked defense, but you don't stay in your laurels. You don't stay stagnant. You got to keep things flowing,
Right.
keep moving. So bring a guy like this to be on the edge, bendable, everything that all those traits you want, and let him wreak havoc. And good for us.
Dude,
Good.
we remember the ridiculous pick. They haven't, listen, all of the picks that they make aren't going to be home runs. Last year, you did a job that could last you for a few years. That was phenomenal what they did last year. So what he did in the offseason, signing, those two, Lazard and Mecole. Man, all of a sudden now, you gave Garrett Wilson. You still have Corey still there. You still got a foundation for this guy and 2 months the tight ends still there. So, we didn't even talk about the defensive side of the ball either. But weapons galore, and this running back that we were talking about who's from Brooklyn, Izzy, right? He's from Brooklyn, man.
Israel. I can't say his last name, but they call him Izzy.
Abanaconda, I think, something like that. I don't know. But the guy's a Brooklyn guy. You don't think he wants to go out there and kick it, man? So you got Carter, you got this guy, you got Zam, and you got Brees. It's like this guy will push Brees if need be. It's
But
like
he broke Tony Dorsett's records at Pitt. And all of a sudden, after they draft him, people mumble. Then the next day, you hear about people are going nuts saying it was the steal of the draft. It was literally the steal. Getting this guy Izzy was a steal of the draft for JD. So
well, did you see when they picked him? Right, they go. Hackett was talking to him. He says, you're coming here to a place that another Pittsburgh running back frame, right? Curtis Martin. It's like so. It's like they're saying that's your pick, that's your guy, that's your goal. You know what I mean? So they're not fooling around. They're like getting these kids to come in thinking this is a winning culture. It's not like, oh shit, I'm on the Jets now. At least I'm in the NFL. No, it's on the Jets now, and I'm going to go get a ring. And I don't care if people like you just said, the negativity and all. So what? Right now, if they get it done, if they push it, the heck with the New England and all of that and jumping over, it's going to be get to the quarterback, get the head of the snake off, like Saleh said. McDonald will do that. Get to the quarterback. Next, you're going to see the Q man up front get a nice contract, right? And his brother's rocking and rolling out there as a linebacker. They're doing the things they have to do, right?
Well, the other thing too is that, with this whole thing with getting Rodgers, somehow, some way, when everything was said and done, his contract isn't that much. It freed up $43 million to the cap. And people don't talk about that a lot.
He's going to make $100 million next year. Well, he's not staying in that contract next year. If he's still here, they'll renegotiate again. So he wants to win a ring. That's the bottom line, and he wants to extend his career. But I'm just, excited about everything, all of it, and it starts with the excitement that the ownership, the coach, and Aaron Rodgers showed when this last week began. Last Tuesday, last Monday, whatever. It's exciting. It's a big deal.
Well, how great was it when Aaron Rodgers was talking about meeting Woody? Yeah, it's a good guy. Appreciate everything he did to bring me on board. Then he mentioned Chris Johnson, and he's like, just talking about him, all kind of pumped up. But it's all good, man. I'm not gonna. You know what? In fact, I have to admit, and again, I'm gonna eat some crow. I was always been, I'm still not a Woody fan, but he put his money where his mouth is, and he did it. So I can't.
Well, they had to get it right because they have no quarterback. So they said it right away. If this guy, all things being equal, if you're trying to win right now, he's the right guy. Period. Like when we had a couple of podcasts before. We had Joe on, right? And we were talking about that. We want Rodgers. We want that guy if it's a short-term thing, right? let's do it now. What are we going to do? We're going to wait for, Carr to develop. We're going to hope that the other guy doesn't get hurt, right? What's his name from San Fran? Now he's on. Did he go to the Colts? I can't remember. Garoppolo. Where did he go? I don't even remember now. It's like, okay, these guys, Raiders. He went to the Raiders, I think. Yeah. So all of this musical chairs means nothing. There's one guy that's the best guy, and we got him. I don't care that he's 39 going on 40. Other than Brady, if Brady were retired, and this was last year, and Tampa Bay was in the mix to try to get Aaron Rodgers, if he was, they'd be going after him, right? There are teams that would have gone after him. So I don't know what he's got left in the tank. I know he can throw the ball. He knows what he's doing, and we have not had that in a really, really long time. And we've never had it at this level, except maybe when Namath was there. I mean,
absolutely. And I think the epitome. This is the last thing I want to say about the negativity about the draft. Is like I'm watching NFL Network, and Maurice Jones-Drew, former player, and these are the people you want to listen to. Former player, talking about the Jets, talking about the Jets draft, talking about the tight ends they got, talking about what they did, talking about Will McDonald, and just like loving it, digging it, and everything's good. So he's innocent, man. He's innocent because he did a good job. Okay. And then I have some guy, Ross, after Maurice Jones-Drew has this great analysis of the Jets, very positive. He's like, oh, they didn't do what they were doing with Green Bay. They didn't get him a receiver. And it's like kind of, and Maurice was looking at him like, what are you talking about? Like what are they? Did they had to get him a receiver?
They have Garrett Wilson, for God's sake. They got a receiver.
And then stupidly, he goes, number one, he's not. See, this is someone who doesn't have knowledge.
He's the rookie of the year on the offensive line. Come on,
When he says Lazard, he goes, is Lazard a number one? Well, Stunad,
no,
he's not supposed to be a number one. Garrett Wilson is the number one. And they gave, so you're saying you didn't get one in the draft, but they have Garrett Wilson, they gave him Lazard, they gave him Hardman from Kansas City, 2 Super Bowl rings. They still have Corey Davis, okay? You still have Mims, who maybe can still be a pretty good wide receiver. So it's just people talking out of their, and just saying things that they don't know. I mean, the second he said, guilty. Ross, the last name was Ross, you're guilty, man. Guilty of not knowing what in God's name you're talking about. When you say, oh, Lazard number one, and that's when Maurice Jones-Drew just kind of looked at him. He couldn't even say anything because it was just so beyond ridiculous what this guy was.
It goes back to like Saturday Night Live in the beginning, right? Jane, you ignorant slut. It was like point, counterpoint. It's like they think that it's good theater to just always take the other side. It's like, no, sometimes it's just the truth. Sometimes it's not like I'm right, you're wrong. That's it. This is reality. But sometimes you just use logic, and the sun is out. It's a sunny day. As simple as that. You needed to fill some holes. You did. And you didn't waste your pick. You now have a guy that is going to you got Carl Lawson. You got Bryce Huff, right? That's the other guy. You need some help on the outside. You got Franklin Myers now. JFM was going to get pushed a little bit, right? You got this guy McDonald now who could put his hand down or drop into coverage and do both things, but he has one goal. He's quick. He wants to get to the quarterback and put him the heck down. We don't do that. Imagine if they start sacking the quarterback then.
Right. They really didn't do that enough in my eyes. But like talking to friends, and this is, like I said, there's some things we don't know. It's all about the passion. It's all about our love for the Jets. But like even one of our buddies, Tommy Boy, he was saying about this guy, Ross, they're always going to want someone to make a counterpoint or give another. That's fine. But when you have no knowledge and you're so ignorant, okay, if you counterpoint, have a little substance to it. Have a little meat in a bone. When you say something so ridiculous as, oh, Lazard, you're number one, or why don't they get a receiver, not realizing all they've done to have
idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. And I got to tell you something. When you look at their plans, right?
Guilty.
What they did, right? You're right. They went out and got TJ Luther. unrestricted free agent, right? They outbid everybody else to get this guy, TJ Luther, right, as another wide receiver. So they got somebody else to fill in there if they get rid of Corey Davis. So they didn't have to go out and pick and waste a pick high on a wide receiver, right? You had that guy, Jackson, I forgot his last, it's a two-word last name, that they were going to pick if they weren't going to get, you know, like they were talking about him as their wide receiver pick. Would have been a waste to do that. There'd be no point in adding another receiver, right? So,
and what do we say? The first receiver picked in this draft was picked 20th. This
20th,
was
yeah.
not. This was not a receiver-friendly draft.
Right.
No one, everybody who took a receiver was like, really, you know, I'm not saying flipping a coin. I know they have knowledge of how to. I'm not saying none of these guys could be good, but it wasn't not even remotely close to last year. Not even remotely close to last year.
You didn't have a Garrett Wilson in this draft, you know? They got him last year, so it's great, you know?
How many receivers were picked in the top 15?
I don't think any, none. You got 20 and 21.
Last year, you had, beside our guy, you had the three guys from Ohio State. You had just a plethora of really talented receivers that really dominated the first round of the draft. It wasn't a deep draft. It wasn't a really attractive, appealing draft. Like I said, look what...
You had a couple of quarterbacks and a bunch of offensive linemen. You had four nice O-linemen, but, you know, that's fine, you know? Let me see, who was his number 20, right? That was the first one, I think, is why, yeah. And that was Jackson Smith Njigba, Seahawks, 20. Chargers, Quentin Johnson. You know? So if he was a rock star, he'd go early, right? He'd go 4, 5, 6, whatever. That doesn't mean he won't be a rock star. I don't know. Now, this guy that they signed, the unrestricted free agent guy, Luther, apparently they outbid other teams and gave him a nice base salary, which doesn't usually happen for undrafted free agents. Undrafted free agents, they invite them in, they try to make the team, they sign him a little bit, but this guy got a base salary. So they want him to make the team. So, okay. So, I mean...
He's another athletic freak. He's huge. He's considered tight end / wide receiver.
Yeah.
But I said actually very pretty good coming off the stance, fast, some decent route running, precise. So who knows? But it's nice to see that, you know, some of these guys, listen, there's great stories about undrafted guys. Hopefully this will be one of those great stories.
You know, Vin, they had a plan this few years. This 3 years or whatever that JD's been in charge with Saleh, they have a plan, they have a goal, and we keep going back to Chris, you know, you're right. I don't care anymore who is responsible, who gets the credit. If it's Aaron Rodgers, if it's Chris Johnson, we want to see it happen, and we want the guy behind your head to see it happen before he drops dead. You know, it's like he's the biggest fan, right? We were just talking about that a few minutes ago.
No, people talk about the greatest Jets fan. Actually, the best, greatest Jets fan is Joe Namath.
It is.
The greatest Jet, and he's the greatest fan because that guy, decades after retiring, he's in his 80s. He loves his team so much, and it's never about him. He wants them from the day he was out of football. He wanted the Jets to win. That's how much he loved the Jets. How much he loved the team.
And us, the fans. It's also us. He wants the fans to see it, you know?
Wants the fans to see it. He's a fan. Joe Namath is the number one Jet of all time. He's the number one Jet fan out there because he wants it to happen from day one from when he retired. He was hoping that it wasn't going to be. It is decades, and it's still about him. He didn't want that. He wanted to see other quarterbacks come in and do really well and get these guys a ring, get these guys a championship for the fans. He is the greatest Jet fan that ever lived, and he's the greatest Jet player. He gets both.
You know what I see, Vinny? Here's what I vision this year. I see the Jets Ring of Honor ceremony this year, right? Yes. When whoever it is this year that's going to go in, whatever it is, now you got Klecko, you got Curtis Martin, you got Joe Namath, you know, you got all these guys that You got Darrelle Revis. They're all Hall of Famers that are going to be standing there. They should bring them all in. You have all kinds of stuff that you can do that show excellence for the team. Now you got Aaron Rodgers there to make it happen for them. So it's an exciting time to be a Jet fan. Don't let anybody out there tell you, no, same nonsense. This is the beginning, I believe, of a new era for them that they've never seen before. I really think, with or without Rodgers, because he's going to have an influence on the team, not negative. Everyone's, yeah, I don't believe that. He was in a spot where he wants to be the man. He's got the coaches, he's got the players that he wants. Now all he has to do is execute. If at some point he's out of juice, he's out of gas, the world will know. I don't think so. I think he's got 3 or 4 years in him. He's in great shape, I don't know. We'll see.
In that little interview that we got from James Date, that little interview that we got, he was funny. He was just saying, I don't know why he said it, but he goes, yeah, they were saying how he was slinging the ball. He says, I'll be able to sling up until I'm 60, 70 years old.
He said if Dan Marino come up today, he could still throw the ball.
If you gave a football right now to Dan Marino, he'd be able to swing it.
So just protect him up front, get open, catch the freaking ball when he throws it and score touchdowns. Breece Hall, hit some home runs, get in the end zone. These other guys that are right behind you that are going to push you, beware. You got these Iowa State guys. You got, 3 of them on the team now. That's a little fun, try.
Well, I will tell you, and I will tell you this.
Breece.
What I like about
and the new guy at McDonald and Lazard. So they got their own little fun thing going from Iowa State. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
What I like about JD, he doesn't eventually the guy, I won't react to it. Let's be frank. Michael Carter, that first year was a great pick. He did really well. Okay. Next year, Breece gets Hall gets hurt. Michael Carter comes in. He didn't get it done, for whatever reason. Hopefully, he can go back to the way he was. I don't know what happened. No one can really explain it, but he didn't get it done.
We can speculate that's the O-line, the quarterbacks. It's a fresh start now.
He didn't play well. Then Bam came in, and he did well, the kid. But I think, beside Will McDonald, my favorite pick is Izzy, and I'll tell you why. Of course, now you got a guy, and again, they steal the draft, and all the negative, they weren't looking truly at the players. They weren't reading it. They weren't gathering information. Just, Jets didn't have a great draft. But you know what? This guy, Izzy, steal the draft, broke Tony Dorsett's numbers. So Breece Hall, obviously he'll be used, but if Breece Hall goes down again, kind of feel like you got almost another type of Breece Hall.
Listen, Pitt's a real school. Pitt, they turn out some real good pros, man. But
that's JD's way of saying
this guy's gonna be good. He's gonna make it. Yeah. So
I think that's JD's way of saying, yeah, maybe Michael Carter might not be the guy. I'm not gonna pretend that he's gonna be the guy, but let me get somebody else who I think and who's gonna do really well. If a good compliment guy,
right. He's got 2 now insurance policies because Breece Hall's coming off the major surgery there. So who knows what he's going to be? It took what's his name from the Giants, Shaquan, a little bit. It wasn't the next year, right? It was the year after that he was really a rock star again. So who knows? But I think Breece, they're saying, he's in great thing. But we'll see. But if he comes back and he's what he was, great. If he needs some help and he's not as explosive, well, you got a young guy who is. So there you go. You mix him in. And if Michael Carter is going to contribute, great, So now you know why they let Ty Johnson go, because they had other guys in mind. So it's like you said, that's the theme. The know-it-alls, like you said, the negative guys, they don't know what the whole plan is. So
and then they really and this I know I'm going all over the place, which is what I do. But when you look at again that third pick that I got, that offensive lineman Carter Warren, he got hurt, and if he didn't get hurt, I think it would have been a chance to be a second-round draft pick, and I think he's a guy, again, who they can probably, if had to, an emergency plug in, and I think he'll be serviceable. So all across the draft, was it a perfect draft? No. Was it not like the last 2 years? No. Was it a great draft board? No, it wasn't. Let's be frank. Because the thing is, they only want to tell you, oh, it was great. Oh, what a show. The commercials, it lasts forever. I mean, come on, that first round, 30 picks, it lasts 31 picks, lasts 4 hours. It's ridiculous. All right. They want to act like it's the most greatest thing. It wasn't a deep draft class. And to prove it, Houston gave up the whole friggin' draft to get a guy they wanted at pick number 3. So there you go. All right.
Yeah. And
I've said my piece.
what did they give up? They gave up unknowns for a known. We gave up a pick next year for something that we know now will give us a level of influence that started this week already around town. There's a star power there. His star power brings Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Brees Hall, brings all these guys up, whereas if he wasn't on the team, they'd be forgotten a little bit. So if they start winning, these guys are going to be even, Pro Bowl, All Pro. It means a lot. They both won. They were rock stars. So now Brees Hall's got something to prove in his second year.
Well,
So,
and we mentioned too, our last podcast. I don't care. I don't want to hear about next year's Rodgers could be a first. I don't care. I really don't care.
just
People act like, okay, it's good getting a first round pick. Okay. But it's not the end of the world, for God's sakes. It doesn't destroy your team. Look at Miami. Miami's a good team. They got Tua. They got the receivers. They messed up. They didn't get a first round pick at all. Okay. So what is it? The end of the world for Miami? Oh my God, Miami didn't get a first round pick. Oh my God, next year Houston's not going to get a first rounder. They're not going to get a third rounder. They gave up so much.
Let me ask you a question. You're dead on. Think of the Jets' first round pick this year. They're all saying, oh, they wasted it. Oh, it was crap. Okay, so next year, you would think if everything goes well, they're going to pick later than 15. So maybe it's a 26 pick or 28 pick. So you got nobody, right? Based on this year, the negative people. So like, what are you giving up? You're giving up a nothing, right? So it doesn't matter. You had a number 2 pick and you've got 0 out of it anyway. It's not about that. It's about filling the need. It's about developing it within your plan and getting the right leaders in place. And I think what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, if Hackett and Rodgers together with Saleh still got to be the guy piloting it. He can't get run over, but he's still going to pull the right strings on defense. And I think you're going to see them be a top 2 defense, man. I see them doing it. And
listen, there's a chance it could be a top 5 defense. There's a chance it could be a top 5 offense. That's sick. Yeah. That is a possibility. I know what can happen, what can go wrong. I understand that. But knowing it's a possibility, and by the way, talking about the draft, I guess I'm always kind of negative, but I'm not a Mel Kiper fan. He's been around
right.
forever, and you hear him talk, but at least it was funny when the Jets were up to pick, and he starts talking about Will McDonald.
It's like, ooh. Yeah.
So you figure, what in God's name is he talking about? But at least when they didn't make the pick and it did happen, he had a huge amount of information to support why he thought he was that good. Right. So I appreciate at least Kuiper. You can't say the guy doesn't
did his homework, man. Yeah.
You can't say whether it's his people who get it, but and he is a love story of how much he liked Will McDonald for the last 2-3 months. And again,
but he sees how he would fit in with the Jets. That's the point. It's like if it's on another team where it's wasted, you don't need that kind of pick. You got to pick the guys that are going to help you. Okay. Now, do we win the battle when it doesn't count? Yeah, we're always, but this is different. You got quality guys this year that they brought in, that they've signed, and a couple now. You got a center, This is the one spot that this team usually gets right is center. You go back all the way. Joe Fields was great. How you gonna topple with when you had Mawai? He was a great center. Mangold, So they've had guys that were there for a while, So, that's 20 years of centers right there, 25 years. So at this point, you need a guy that's going to be plug and play, and hopefully he'll be the guy for the next 10 years, but we'll see, But I'm thrilled. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's It's never been this, not going to say hopeful, but good feeling about, you really have, I can't say it enough. They had the number 4 defense last year. They put 6 points up in the last game. Ridiculous. So they had no offense. So what do? You improve on that defense, you're going to be the best, right? And at the same time, you become something better on offense. You're going to translate to wins, you think. Now, I know they have a tough schedule. We'll talk about that later on, whatever. But,
right.
you know,
and the more you get to know Aaron Rodgers, the more you realize that 90% of things people said about him was bullshit. Excuse me. Plain.
Yeah, well, listen, bullshit. I don't care. Again, you could be quarterback. I could be the center. I don't give a shit. At this point, we want to win. That's it. But I think when you see him throw in the red zone to one of these tight ends or somebody getting open fast instead of not knowing what to do, that's when you're going to go, whoa, you know, we haven't seen that kind of stuff ever in a long time. The most, like Fitzpatrick was a quality quarterback compared to guys that they've had over the last 10 years. You know, it's like you want guys that close the deal, you know. So I get the feeling he'll hit Lazard. He'll find him, you know. And there's some big bodies there. The big Kuntz man there, you know, 6'7", boom, you know, touchdown, you know. So, and you know Garrett Wilson and you know this guy Harvard are going to want to get yards after catch in space and take it to the house and get in the end zone. And it's like if they get clipped at the 4-yard line where you're like, oh my God, are they going to score? You know, and then they end up not getting in or fumbling. Now you got Breece Hall, bring it in, let's go, right? You got tight ends, find them, throw a touchdown. I think they're gonna that to me is what's really gonna be exciting, I think, about this team coming into the new year, because that's a piece that we haven't seen on offense forever, man. Like, when Wesley Walker was there and you know, Curtis Martin was there, you know.
The last time we saw it consistently was with Testaverde and Curtis Martin, where that offense was like unstoppable.
It's over 20 years ago now, you know. Geez.
Hey, the bottom line is still a honeymoon. We haven't returned from Hawaii yet.
Hey,
no one's back in the job. So we'll see what happens. But if anything, to our faithful fans out there who like Jets 55, just think the possibility of a top 5 defense and a top 5 offense, that it's a possibility.
Yeah, and if Aaron, you're listening out there, Mr. Rod, don't listen to some of the fans because they might not be the fans that care about this team. There are millions of Jet fans here. That's where you want to be. Because I heard him say, oh, like the one guy in the studio with McAfee, he's like, do me a favor because his heart's broken because he's off the Packers now. He said, just throw out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, okay. So at the end, he goes, oh, yeah, we'll see. He said, the Mets have reached out to me, though. Hey, there you go. So the Mets-Jets connection, you know. So that'll probably happen. He said, yeah, sure, I want to get to Yankee Stadium and Citi Field, you know. So he knows already there are 2 teams. There are 2 things going on. And, you know, the Mets and the Jets, hey, for better or worse, I know there are Jet fans that like the Yankees and Yankee fans that, you know, and Met fans that like the Giants. But for older guys like us, you know, you're a Mets-Jets guy, Shea Stadium, you know, and I'm just thankful that we got a guy now that I think hopefully will get it done for us, you know.
He's gonna he's gonna do his thing. And again, let's rest well, sleep on it, fantasize about it, that it's out there for the Jets to possibly get to the Super Bowl. And the story.
Got it. Thank you. Perfect.
All right,
so
buddy.
We good? We good, my friend?
Good. Thank you for watching. And just sweet dreams, everybody. Just keep fantasizing and dreaming. Hopefully it will be a reality.
Yeah, AR is in the house now, you know. So
there we go. All right.
Take care.
Ladies, take care. Bye-bye.